November 30th, 2025. In a move echoing its recent military overtures to Venezuela, Russia is reportedly negotiating to donate advanced Su-30 and Su-35 fighter jets to Sudan in exchange for exclusive rights to establish a permanent naval base on the strategic Red Sea coast. The development, first reported by Military Watch magazine on November 28, marks a bold escalation in Moscow's efforts to expand its influence across Africa amid ongoing geopolitical tensions. Sudanese Defense Ministry officials have confirmed that high-level talks with Russian counterparts resumed last week, focusing on bolstering the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) amid the protracted civil war against the Rapid Support Forces (RSF). The proposed deal would see Russia provide an unspecified number of the multi-role 4++ generation fighters, capable of air superiority, ground attack, and maritime strike missions, as donations to replenish Sudan's depleted air fleet. In return, Moscow gains a logistics and naval support facility at Port Sudan, allowing up to 4 warships, including nuclear-powered vessels, to dock indefinitely. The timing could not be more critical for Sudan. The SAF, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has suffered devastating losses since the conflict erupted in April 2023. Key airstrips have been overrun, and at least a dozen combat aircraft, mostly aging MiG-29s and Su-25s, have been destroyed or captured by RSF forces, backed by UAE-supplied drones and Chinese Fk-2000 air defense systems delivered via Chad in August. The fall of El Fasher in North Darfur last month represented a major setback, enabling RSF advances into Kordofan and threatening SAF supply lines. Acquiring Su-30s and Su-35s would restore long-range strike capabilities, allowing precision attacks on RSF command centers and convoys hundreds of kilometers deep in rebel-held territory. "This is about survival," said a senior SAF officer speaking anonymously to Army Recognition. "Our Air Force is grounded without these jets. Russia understands that, and they're leveraging it for their own gains." Sudan's acting foreign minister Ali Yusuf echoed this sentiment during a press briefing in Port Sudan yesterday, affirming that Russian support is integral to our alliance against aggression, while hinting at mutually beneficial strategic arrangements. For Russia, the naval base represents a prized warm water asset, compensating for uncertainties at its Tartus facility in Syria following the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime earlier this year. Initial agreements date back to 2017 under former President Omar al-Bashir, with a preliminary pact signed in 2021 permitting construction at Port Sudan. However, Sudan's 2021 military coup and the ensuing civil war stalled progress. Recent visits by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Wagner Group remnants, now rebranded under the Africa Corps, have revived momentum. The base would host 300 personnel, repair facilities, and munitions storage, projecting Russian naval power into the Bab el-Mandab Strait, a choke point for 12% of global trade. This quid pro quo mirrors Russia's pattern of arms-for-access deals. Just last month, Moscow pledged Su-30 SM jets and S-400 systems to Venezuela in exchange for enhanced oil shipments and joint naval exercises in the Caribbean, moves decried by Washington as encroachments on its hemispheric backyard. Analysts see Sudan's overture as part of a broader after Venezuela strategy, where Russia trades surplus Soviet era derivatives for strategic real estate, circumventing Western sanctions imposed since the 2022 Ukraine invasion. The Su-30, a twin-engine heavy fighter produced by Sukhoi since the 1990s, boasts a 3,000-kilometer combat radius, thrust vectoring engines for supermaneuverability, and compatibility with Kh-31 anti-ship missiles, ideal for Red Sea patrols. The more advanced Su-35, often dubbed a Flankery Plus, features upgraded avionics, Urbis-E phased array radar detecting targets at 400 kilometers, and 30% greater payload than its predecessor. Both could integrate with Sudan's existing Soviet inventory, though training and maintenance would require Russian advisors, potentially embedding Moscow's influence deeper into SAF operations. Reactions have been swift and polarized. On X, users like @AfricaLive01 broke the news with over 400 views, sparking debates on whether the donation is a Trojan horse for Russian dominance. Defense watchers on platforms like @Naval Recognition highlighted the base's implications for regional shipping lanes. Western powers expressed alarm. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller called the talks destabilizing, warning of sanctions on any entities facilitating the base. The UK and France, via the UN Security Council, urged Sudan to prioritize humanitarian ceasefires over arms deals, as the war has displaced 10 million and killed over 20,000. Egypt, controlling the Suez Canal, voiced concerns over Red Sea militarization, fearing disruptions to its $9 billion annual revenue. Neighboring Eritrea, already wary of Russian overtures, may face heightened tensions, as noted by analyst Deo on X, a tightrope walk for Asmara. China, Sudan's top creditor, remains ambiguously supportive, having supplied J-10 jets as an alternative in parallel talks. Beijing's Belt and Road investments in Port Sudan could dovetail with Russian infrastructure, forming a Sino-Russian axis in the Horn of Africa. Yet, RSF leader Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, Hemedti, exiled in UAE, dismissed the deal as desperate SAF propaganda, vowing to target any new jets with smuggled manpads. Experts like Jerome Brahe of Army Recognition predict the agreement could finalize by mid-2026, pending parliamentary ratification in Khartoum. This isn't just about Sudan, it's Russia redrawing naval maps post-Syria, Brahe told reporters. Political scientist Andreas Heinemann-Gruder added that the jets could tip the civil war's balance, but at the cost of Sudan's sovereignty. Dependency on Moscow for spares and pilots means long-term entanglement. As negotiations intensify, the specter of escalation looms. Will these donated fighters silence RSF guns, or ignite a proxy inferno along Africa's vital waterway? For now, Port Sudan's docks, once bustling with grain exports, stand as the unlikely fulcrum of great power rivalry.